A system awakening after forcing Lin Yu into the maid outfit again. A line of scrolling comments suddenly floated before my eyes. The villainous male side character is so shameless, always finding ways to humiliate our female lead. It's okay. Once the female lead reunites with her wealthy mother and becomes a business queen, she'll have the male side character completely ruined. Requesting a tutorial to skip the villainous male side character scenes and go straight to the sweet daily life of De Ba and the female lead. After the comments finished scrolling, my hand, which was undoing the third button on Lin Yu's outfit, abruptly paused. She was blushing, but her eyes were clear and cold, her tone carrying a hint of imperceptible stubbornness. Aren't you going to continue? I took a deep breath, complex emotions churning within me. I slowly buttoned back up the buttons I had just undone and said in a low voice, "You can go." Lin Yu froze for a moment, seemingly not expecting me to say this. A trace of confusion flashed across her face. "What did you say?" I lowered my gaze, my eyes involuntarily tracing down her slender waist until they settled on her wrist hanging by her side. I had carefully selected this outfit for her over a long time. The bottom was a pleated skirt, and the top was well-fitting, perfectly outlining her slim waist. It wasn't a revealing style. It even had a touch of restrained elegance, which, enhanced by Lin Yu's cool temperament, made her look even more distinguished. But according to the meaning of those comments just now, Lin Yu should be feeling humiliated at this moment, thinking I was degrading her. Thinking of this, I only felt immense fatigue and helplessness. It was utterly pointless. So I put down the camera in my hand and repeated, "I said you can go. I don't want to take photos anymore. I'm currently starting a business with my friend Li Yong. Li Yong is responsible for designing the styles, and I'm responsible for photographing the models." Lin Yu herself had personally agreed to my request to wear the clothes I prepared and let me take a set of photos of her. She yanked the cat ear headband off her head, her thin lips pressed together, implicitly showing her dissatisfaction. "Suran, what kind of tantrum are you throwing now? Didn't I already agree to let you take the photos? What more do you want?" At this moment, the scrolling comments that had disappeared quickly started rolling again. What's gotten into the male side character all of a sudden? The female lead already swallowed her pride to take photos with him. What does he try to do? He's raising the female lead's hatred for him again, courting death with no limits. Don't worry, everyone. This villainous male side character eventually jumps from the TH floor. He dies miserably. Hearing the words TH floor, my heart suddenly tightened. My shoulders trembled slightly, and I subconsciously and subtly distanced myself from her, my voice also becoming softer. "I'm not throwing a tantrum. I just feel like you don't seem willing to cooperate with the photo shoot. I don't want to make things difficult for you, forcing you to do something you don't like." Lin Yu was taken aback, a flicker of disbelief welling up in her eyes. Perhaps I had pestered her too much in the past, so now that I had relented so easily, she found it rather surprising. "Really? Just that? You're not secretly hatching some other bad idea, are you?" I quickly shook my head, my gaze sincere. "No, really." Lin Yu looked down at me, the emotion in her eyes hard to read. After a long time, just when I thought she wouldn't speak again, she stuffed the cat ear headband into my hand, her voice a bit hoarse. "Then I'm going to study." After Lin Yu left, my tense body finally relaxed. At this moment, more scrolling comments floated before my eyes. Would the villainous male side character let the female lead off so easily? I think this is a feigned retreat. He's probably thinking of some new way to torment the female lead. Last time the female lead didn't go to the music festival with him, so he fired her mother from her job out of revenge. The female lead's mother was secretly wiping away tears as she left with her belongings. After reading these bullet screen comments, I unconsciously tightened my fingers. It wasn't like that at all. The reason I so forcefully dismissed her mother, who worked as a maid in front of Lin Yu last time, was because prior to that, I had discovered her mom's cancer diagnosis report. Lin Yu's mother, firstly, didn't want her daughter to be burdened with huge medical debts because of her illness, and secondly, she was afraid of affecting Lin Yu's graduate thesis defense, so she wanted to keep hiding it. So after I found out, I immediately contacted the best medical team, urged her to be hospitalized for treatment, and staged that scene precisely to help her keep it a secret from Lin Yu. Yesterday, the attending physician told me her mother was recovering well from the surgery, estimating the time she should be ready for discharge soon. Midnight encounter. The next day, In the early hours of the morning, I was suddenly awakened by thirst. My throat felt uncomfortably dry, so I decided to go downstairs to the kitchen for a glass of water. As I passed Lin Yu's room, I inadvertently noticed her light was still on. Instantly, the image of her sitting at the desk with a straight back, her slender fingers gently turning the pages, her thin lips slightly pursed in concentration, surfaced uncontrollably in my mind. The image was so vivid, as if she were right there before my eyes. However, just then, the content of those bullet screen comments from the morning suddenly burst into my thoughts. Those comments, filled with malice towards me, felt like sharp thorns piercing my heart. I instantly snapped back to reality and shook my head hard, trying to dispel these unpleasant thoughts. Just at this moment, the sound of light footsteps came from the hallway. Instinctively, I quickly ducked into the corner by the stairs, peeking out slightly to see what was going on. I saw Su Yu, dressed in blue pajamas and holding a glass of milk, knocking on Lin Yu's door. In that instant, a few lines of bullet screen comments appeared before my eyes again. Ah, the precious boy MC finally appeared. He's so cute, like a little sunshine, sob sob. In this house, only the precious boy cares about our female lead. My feelings for the precious boy are complicated. I want to birth him. Lin Yu opened the door quickly. Seeing Su Yu, there wasn't the slightest hint of surprise in her eyes, as if she were already accustomed to his presence. She simply pushed up the black half-rimmed glasses on her nose with her index finger, then naturally took the milk from Su Yu's hand, her ears tingling slightly red as she murmured a soft thanks. The moment their fingertips brushed inadvertently, the bullet screen comments scrolled wildly, everyone shouting they were going crazy shipping them. Su Yu's soft voice echoed in the hallway. Yu, will you come to the aquarium with me this weekend? Lin Yu paused for a moment, not answering immediately. She just tilted her head back and drank the milk in one go. What's wrong with the FL? Why hasn't she agreed to the little sunshine precious boy yet? Calm down, calm down. Our FL is the reserved, inwardly passionate type. Just do it already, do it big, ah. Seeing her lack of response for a while, Su Yu couldn't help but pout aggrievedly. If you don't want to, it's okay. I could go alone. Hearing this, Lin Yu leaned a hand against the door frame, bending slightly closer to him, and said softly, Who said I don't want to? Don't you get seasick? I was just wondering if motion sickness medicine would help. Watching this intimate interaction between them, my heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. My eyes stung, and a suffocating tightness filled my chest. I recalled when I had invited Lin Yu to the music festival with me. She had merely replied, I don't want to waste time on such childish things. But now she not only readily agreed to Su Yu's invitation, but was also thoughtfully considering the potential discomfort he might experience with water activities. So it wasn't that she was afraid of wasting time. She just didn't want to waste it on me. Heartbroken farewell. Back in my room, watching those plus bullet comments frantically scrolling, my eyes started to sting uncontrollably again. Only at this moment did I fully realize that in this sweet pampering novel, I was nothing more than a despised villainous male supporting character. Meanwhile, my younger brother, with no blood relation, Su Yu, was the male protagonist of this world, and Lin Yu was his destined official pairing. All these years, what did my affection for Lin Yu even amount to? Lin Yu had poor health since childhood. To nourish her, I always forced her to eat vegetables and meat she disliked. In high school, to earn tuition fees, she would always sneak off to work all night at a convenience store after evening self-study, which made her drowsy in class the next day. After I found out, I had that job terminated behind her back and also got Dad to provide enough money for her university tuition. But only now did I realize that in her eyes, everything I did was filled with coercion and humiliation. She even planned to retaliate against me later, aiming to cause my family's ruin. Since that's the case, why should I continue to hold on? I spent several hours packing the things Lin Yu had given me over the years, from childhood until now, piece by piece, into a cardboard box called gifts. Most were actually just things she had casually handed me, yet I had treated them like treasures, carefully preserving them all these years. Now, holding this cardboard box, I tossed it into the storage room, as if discarding my entire unrequited past. For a distant term, Lin Yu and I were pursuing postgraduate studies at the same university, even sharing the same advisor, although I was a year behind her. The next day, After we finished an experiment together, Linyu remained focused on organizing data, showing no sign of intending to leave the lab. Usually, I would have quietly waited by her side, but after everything that had happened, my mindset was different this time. I packed up my things directly and turned towards the door. Sue ran. Her voice came from behind, stopping me. I stopped and turned back, a hint of distance unconsciously showing in my eyes. "What is it?" I asked. She stood up, walked over to me, her gaze fixed on my face. "Are you leaving now?" "Yes," I replied curtly, ready to leave. But she suddenly reached out, gripping my wrist firmly, the strength in her hold subtly forbidding me to pull away. "It's dark outside, come home with me." "No need," I refused. Linyu lowered her gaze to look at me, her pupils clear yet deep. "What tantrum are you throwing now? Because I went to the aquarium with Suyu? Are you jealous?" Just then, a few lines of bullet comments appeared before my eyes. Is the male supporting character ever annoying? The moment something doesn't go his way, he forces the female lead to coax him. If the female lead weren't also heading out to buy small cake for the male lead, she wouldn't have asked him to come home with her. Seeing these bullet comments, my heart felt like it was violently wrenched, aching with an indescribable bitterness. So in her mind, I was just someone who throws unreasonable tantrums. Actually, I should have understood long ago. Growing up, Linyu affectionately called Suyu, but she always addressed me by my full name. This subtle difference was a reflection of her true feelings. I forcefully pulled my wrist free, my tone calm, yet laced with finality. "I'm not throwing a tantrum. Who you accompany to the aquarium is your freedom." Linyu chuckled lightly, however, her smile carrying a hint of smug certainty. "Still say you're not jealous?" Completely exasperated and unwilling to argue further, I simply turned and strode away, leaving her standing alone in the lab. 5 layers of misunderstanding. I hadn't expected Linyu to get home before me. When I walked into the house, I saw Suyu holding a chocolate cake, smugly showing off to me. I said yesterday I wanted chocolate cake, and today, bought it for me. I just gave him an indifferent glance, not wanting to engage, and tried to walk straight past him. But just as I brushed past, Suyu suddenly grabbed my arm. His deliberately long nails, sharp and pointed, dug painfully into my flesh. I instinctively raised my hand to shake him off, but he used the momentum to fall straight onto the floor, the delicate cake in his hand shattering. Suyu's eyes instantly reddened, and he burst into tears. "Brother, I just wanted to ask if you wanted some cake. Why did you push me? I know I'm not Mom and Dad's biological son, and I know you've always resented me for taking your place as the Su family's young master for so many years, but I really didn't do it on purpose." Linyu quickly helped him up, then turned to me, her face hardening, her tone full of reproach. "Su Ran, you've gone too far. Apologize to Suyu." I stared at her in disbelief, anger flaring up. "Linyu, are you blind?" He grabbed me first. As I spoke, I pushed up my sleeve. The bruised red marks on my arm were clearly visible, the skin even broken in some places. Linyu froze for a moment, but Suyu spoke again, sounding aggrieved. "Maybe my nails are too long. I couldn't quite control my strength. That's how I accidentally hurt brother. It's all my fault, all Yuyu's fault." Tears glistened in his eyes, making him look utterly pitiful. Linyu comforted him softly. "You were just careless, it's not your fault." My eyes reddened with grievance, and my voice grew hoarse. "Linyu, all these years, even if I'd raised a dog, it would know to wag its tail at me. But you..." Her expression instantly turned cold, her eyes filled with indifference. "Su Ran, I'm not some dog you raised. I'm a living, breathing person." Her voice was ice cold, like a sharp blade stabbing straight into my heart. Tears welled up in my eyes, unable to be held back any longer. Linyu stared at me, her throat moved, and she opened her mouth as if to say something, but ultimately remained silent. Just then, bullet comments scrolled frantically before my eyes. "Our darling female lead is finally fighting back. Don't be afraid of that villainous male side character. When you inherit your tycoon mom's assets later, the Su family won't even be worthy to polish your shoes. Precious little brother is so kind, sob sob. He just wanted to share his cake with his brother. What did he do wrong? Need the villainous male side character's TikTok/Douyin handle. I'm gonna cyberbully him." After reading these comments, my heart filled with despair. Without a word, I turned and walked upstairs. Yes, once Lin Yu finds her real family and gains her powerful background, the Su family truly won't be able to contend with her, and it seems there will be no place left for me in this world. Unexpected encounter. A few minutes later, there was a knock on my bedroom door. Still reeling from the conflict with Lin Yu and Su Yu, my mood hadn't settled. Assuming it was the maid coming to clean, I casually called out, "Come in." But when I looked up, I met Su Yao's lively, sparkling eyes. She was my childhood friend. We'd known each other for years. Her lively, cheerful personality always brought me a bit of comfort when I was feeling down. It was the height of the scorching June-July summer, the sun blazing outside, yet she was wrapped in a black trench coat, looking utterly out of place. Astonished, I walked over to her, reached out to touch her forehead, and asked with concern, "Su Yao, do you have a cold?" The base of her ears instantly reddened, as if my action had touched upon some hidden feeling. Her gaze towards me seemed to shimmer like clear autumn water. Then she squeezed her eyes shut tightly, as if mustering her courage. The next second, she yanked open the trench coat. What met my eyes was the bell collar around her neck and her shapely thighs. I was instantly dumbfounded. It was actually an XXS-made outfit. Su Yao lowered her gaze to look at me, her voice soft and sweet, carrying a hint of playfulness yet also some nervousness. "I can wear this kind of outfit too, can't you? Not look for someone else." Just then, my phone vibrated. I opened the text message and saw it was from Leon. "Help." As soon as Su Yao heard you were looking for Lin Yu to model for the photo shoot, she grabbed the latest outfit I designed and left. Only then did I understand the reason for her actions. My face flushed, feeling a bit embarrassed, and I didn't dare look directly at Su Yao. At the same time, my bedroom door was pushed open again without any warning. Lin Yu stood tall and slender in the doorway, wearing the outfit I had previously prepared for her. I was dumbfounded again, my mind instantly blank. This sudden scene left me completely bewildered. The live comments surged to plus at that moment. What on earth is happening? Wiping drool, wiping drool. Heavens, what kind of hellish showdown is this? The courage to refuse. There was a moment of silence in the air, as if time itself had frozen. Su Yao was the first to react. She quickly pulled her trench coat tighter around herself, covering her chest with both hands, and roared at Lin Yu. "Lin Yu, are you a damn pervert?" Her voice was filled with anger and humiliation. After all, anyone would find such a scene both awkward and infuriating. Lin Yu leaned against the door frame with her arms crossed, appearing calm, but a flicker of barely concealed panic flashed in her eyes. She glanced Su Yao up and down, whose legs were partially exposed, and said as if sighing, "After working so hard for so long, I still can't compete with someone as purely provocative as you." Enraged by this comment, Su Yao was about to charge forward angrily. Before she could act, I reached out and stopped her. The situation was already chaotic enough. I didn't want to make things worse. I turned my head to look at Lin Yu, standing in the doorway, trying my best to keep my tone calm. "Did you come looking for me for something?" She straightened up, her gaze slightly evasive. She brought a fist to her lips and gave an unnatural cough, as if trying to hide her embarrassment. "I promised you before that I'd be your model." I froze for a moment, memories of all the previous unpleasantness with her flashing through my mind, and said firmly, "There's no need. I can ask Su Yao to help me with the shoot." Lin Yu frowned, apparently not expecting such a direct refusal. Su Ran, think carefully. If you miss this chance, I won't ever help you again. Beside me, Su Yao mimicked Lin Yu's words in a high-pitched, sarcastic tone. "Oh dear, miss this chance. I won't ever help you again." She scoffed, her eyes filled with contempt. "Lin Yu, how thick-skinned can you be? Do you think you're Louis Fei or something? Looks, height, figure, which part of me isn't better than you?" With me as Su Ran's model, their designs are guaranteed to sell out. Although Su Yao's words were sharp, right now her only thought was looking out for me, not wanting me to get involved with Lin Yu again. I nodded in agreement. Although I wasn't sure why Lin Yu was acting so strangely, volunteering to be my model, I didn't want anything more to do with her. After a moment, Lin Yu's chilling gaze swept towards me. "Su Ran, do you really think so?" My answer was extremely decisive. Yes. As if finding it absurd, Lin Yu gave a laugh born of anger. Before leaving, she threw out two sentences. One was, "Don't you regret this?" The other was, "And don't forget, my height without shoes is cm, but Su Yao is only." I was speechless for a moment, watching her leave. After Lin Yu left, the barrage of comments went wild again. "More of this catfight battle royale, please. Our female lead is so adorable even when she's jealous." Wait, what? The female lead is jealous over a male side character? Are you kidding me? A moment of ambiguity. Staring at the comments, I froze in place, utterly bewildered. Lin Yu jealous of me? How is that possible? Since childhood, she had always avoided me like the plague, dodging any closeness or care I tried to show her. "Can we start filming now?" Su Yao's sweet voice sounded beside me. She waved a hand in front of my face, then leaned in slightly closer. I snapped out of my daze, my gaze inadvertently landing on her curvaceous figure. My face burned instantly, heat spreading from my ears down to the rest of my body. "We'll start now." Before I could finish speaking, my scorching earlobe was suddenly pinched lightly by her fingers. A cool sensation spread slowly through my scalp, and I instinctively stiffened. Noticing my reaction, Su Yao's lips curled into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. Her graceful figure leaned in closer, exuding a uniquely gentle aura as she whispered, "Su Ran, why are your ears so red?" With that, she picked up a bottle of water beside her and unscrewed the cap. The room fell silent, except for the soft glug-glug of her drinking. Glistening droplets trickled down her slender neck, shimmering faintly under the light. I stared blankly, my gaze unconsciously drawn to her, only to accidentally meet the sidelong glance she cast my way. At that moment, her grip loosened, the bottle slipped from her hand, spilling its contents and instantly soaking the already scant fabric of her top. The nearly transparent material clung tightly to her body, perfectly outlining her alluring curves. Su Yao bent slightly, resting her slender yet firm hands on the table behind me, effectively trapping me in an intimate, ambiguous embrace. Her delicate face drew closer and closer, her nose almost brushing against mine. I could even feel the warmth of her breath. "Su Ran, wouldn't this make for a better shot?" Suddenly, she took my hand in hers, and under her guidance, I slowly pushed her top upward. "Do you want to see?" Her voice was sweet, dripping with allure. Flustered, I shut my eyes, my heart pounding like thunder. Instinctively, I pressed my hand against her shoulders, trying to push her away. The abyss of misunderstanding. At that critical moment, the door to the room swung open abruptly once again. Su Yao's eyes snapped shut, a vein twitching faintly at her temple as she gritted out through clenched teeth, "Are you kidding me? Who the hell doesn't knock before barging in?" Outside, Su Yu's eyes widened in shock. His voice shot up an octave. "Bro, you and Su Yao. Sorry for interrupting. I'll leave now." He pretended to hurry away, but bumped into Lin Yu behind him. Face flushed, he tugged at Lin Yu's sleeve. "Yeah, let's go. We shouldn't disturb whatever they're doing." But Lin Yu remained rooted in place, her gaze fixed on my hands pressing against Su Yao's shoulders. Her brow arched slightly, her eyes filled with detachment and coldness. Su Yu turned back to me, his tone carrying a hint of tactful admonishment. "Bro, if you're going to do this kind of thing, maybe do it outside next time. It's not really appropriate at home." Su Yao immediately straightened up, her smile vanishing as frost overtook her expression. Before she could speak, I strode up to Su Yu and demanded angrily, "What exactly do you think I was doing? Wouldn't that look bad? I haven't even settled the score with you for barging into my room without knocking, and now you're here twisting the facts." Su Yu's eyes instantly turned red. He shrank back, hiding behind Lin Yu, his voice trembling slightly. "Even though Su Yao grew up with you, you can't just bring her back to your room to do that kind of thing." An unnamed rage surged within me. I instinctively reached out, wanting to drag him out from behind Lin Yu. Just then, my wrist was suddenly gripped tightly, the force so strong it felt like my bones would shatter. I turned my head and saw a flicker of contempt in Lin Yu's eyes as she looked at me. What did Su Yu say that was wrong? Her gaze was ice cold, piercing like a sharp blade aimed straight at me. "Su Ran, your affection is truly worthless." I stared at her in disbelief. After confirming I hadn't misheard, I took a deep breath, forcefully wrenched my hand free, and roared. "Su Yao and I were working. That's my business. And yes, my affection is worthless. because I was blind from the very beginning. Lin Yu froze. She glanced down at me, my eyes rimmed red and face flushed with anger. After a moment, her cold voice came from above me. Whatever. With that, she took Su Yu's hand and left without looking back. The awakening of true love. A few lines of bullet comments quickly flashed before my eyes again. Boo-hoo. Little bro's values are so upright. The villainous male supporting character's private life is actually so improper. Pure malice. When will the male supporting character finally get written out? So annoying. Looking at these bullet comments, the knuckles of my clenched fists turned white from the force. Anger and grievance surged within me like a tide, those baseless accusations stabbing at me like sharp knives. Behind me, after letting out a curse, Su Yao was so angry she was about to chase after them to demand justice for me. I quickly stopped her. Su Yao looked at me, confused, her eyes filled with bewilderment and unwillingness. Su ran. Swallowing insults isn't your usual style. I gave a bitter smile and thought silently. But what else can be done? Lin Yu and Su Yu are the male and female lead to this world. The entire world seems to revolve around them. Those bullet comments only appear when they are present and always seem to view things from Su Yu's perspective. As for Su Yao and me, we're merely background props, meant to highlight the protagonist's unshakable love. No matter how hard we try, we can't compete with their dazzling protagonist halos. I slightly lifted my eyelids and unexpectedly met a gaze that was both gentle and fervent. That look was brimming with deep affection, difficult to conceal even with great effort. Su ran, you like me, don't you? I promise I won't let you be hurt. Time seemed to stand still in that second. My fingertips began to tremble, and my heart felt like it was being seized by an immense force. At that very moment, I suddenly realized that regardless of this world's setup, in those stirring, indelible moments, everyone is the protagonist of their own world. This understanding was like a light in the darkness, giving me the courage to persevere. Family troubles. After that day, I didn't speak to Lin Yu for a long time. I had thought the matter was over. The next day, as I was about to go downstairs for breakfast, I stumbled upon this scene. Dad, do you know what brother is doing now? Su Yu's voice, carrying a trace of deliberate exaggeration, shattered the morning tranquility. My dad lowered the newspaper he was holding, looking puzzled. Ran, isn't he starting a business with friends? Yes, he is starting a business with friends, but they're actually creating a brand for women's clothing. Hearing Su Yu's words, the uneasy string in my heart instantly tightened. Recalling when I was preparing to start the business with Li Yong, I indeed lacked the courage to tell my father the specific details of the venture myself. Seeing my dad fall into a visible silence after listening to Su Yu, the palm I had resting on the staircase railing began to sweat slightly. Su Yu wouldn't let it go, continuing to add fuel to the fire. You haven't even seen the photos he takes of those girls. They're simply indecent. Those women dress so scantily, crammed into a room with him all day. Even if something happened, how would we know? Saying this, he turned to Lin Yu, who was sitting on a sofa nearby, and asked pointedly, Isn't that right? Lin Yu's hand holding the water glass tightened abruptly, and then a murmur slowly escaped her throat. I stood frozen in place like a broken piece of wood, my eyes fixed on Lin Yu, filled with disappointment. I had thought that even if she didn't support me, she wouldn't kick me when I was down. I never expected her to chime in like this. Following that, the anger simmering inside me surged violently. Just as I lifted my foot to step down and confront them, Su Yu's voice rang out again. There are quite a few guys at our school now who've caught all sorts of diseases because of their messy private lives. If you ask me, how is what my brother's doing any different from soliciting prostitutes outside? Enough. How could you say such things about your own brother? A sharp slap echoed. Su Yu clutched his reddening cheek and roared, unable to contain his fury. Aren't I just thinking about the Su family's reputation? My dad's face darkened. He slammed his hand hard on the table, his tone firm. Although I don't understand the philosophy and ideas behind your brother's brand, I know my own son. He's not the kind of reckless person without principles. As his family, if we can't be his support and safe harbor, but instead join outsiders in bullying and misunderstanding him, aren't we just pushing him towards a dead end? Su Yu's shoulders shook, large teardrops rolling down his cheeks as he cried out, I knew it. Ever since he came back, you and Mom haven't seen me as your son anymore. If that's the case, then let's just cut off ties." With that, just like countless times before, he ran out the door crying. At this moment, the bullet comments started scrolling again. Why do I feel like the male lead's dad makes a lot of sense? Anyway, at least the male supporting character's career plotline is solid. A bit confused about the male lead. The truth comes out. Seeing Suyu run out crying, Linyu instinctively started to chase after him. However, she suddenly saw me standing on the stairs, and her movement froze instantly. I averted my gaze expressionlessly and walked straight to my dad, who was pale with anger, my voice trembling slightly. "Dad, thank you for being willing to believe me." Although I tried hard to control my emotions, my eyes couldn't help but redden slightly, and a wave of gratitude washed over my heart and lingered for a long time. I recalled how when I returned home at the age of, Suyu had been inexplicably hostile towards me, repeatedly stirring up trouble in front of Mom and Dad over the years. If Mom and Dad hadn't always been fair, never favoring either of us, and always dealing with matters objectively, I might have been pushed out of this family long ago. Dad took the water I handed him, patted my shoulder gently, and comforted me. "You're a good kid. Dad knows you young people. Just do what you want to do. Don't worry too much about what others think." I sniffled, my eyes growing redder, my heart filled with warmth. Just then, the doorbell rang. After Auntie opened the door, a familiar figure walked in. A moment later, Linyu beside me rushed forward in disbelief. "Mom, weren't you fired by Su Ran and went back to your hometown?" "It's a long story, Mom will explain later." Lin Yu's mother spoke as she walked straight past her, coming to stand before my father and me. With utmost sincerity, she bowed deeply. "Sir, young master, if it weren't for you finding the most professional medical team to treat me and taking care of you, I probably wouldn't have made it this far." I quickly stepped forward to help her up, speaking earnestly. "Aunt Yun, please don't do this. You've been with our family for so many years, taking care of us wholeheartedly. We've long considered you family." Lin Yu's mother's eyes reddened as she hastily pulled over Lin Yu, who was still standing there dazed. "You, hurry and thank the sir and the young master." Lin Yu looked at me, her gaze momentarily unfocused. She parted her lips slightly, standing frozen for a long moment before murmuring softly, Thank you, Su Ran." My expression remained calm as I nodded politely yet distantly. "You're welcome." The next morning, over a dozen luxury cars blocked the entrance to my house, leaving no room to pass. At the same time, news of Lin Yu's identity as the illegitimate daughter of the CEO of Stellar Group quickly surged to the top of trending searches. Lin Yu hid in her room, refusing to come out, seemingly unable to accept the truth. I, however, felt a faint sense of relief. Once she left the Su family, I wouldn't have to tread on eggshells anymore, afraid that a single misstep might offend her and plunge the Su family into danger in the future. But I hadn't expected Lin Yu to knock on my door herself. "I'm leaving tomorrow." At this moment, she was staring straight at me, unblinking. "Congratulations. It's late. You should rest early." As I spoke, I moved to shut the door, only for her foot to wedge itself in the gap. "Su Ran," she said, her voice low. "You really have nothing else to say to me?" I thought for a moment. Actually, I do. Her eyes lifted abruptly, dark pupils shimmering with faint anticipation. "Back then, I was clingy. I forced you to eat food you didn't like, quit your convenience store job without your permission, and even secretly arranged treatment for your mom behind your back. I'm sorry. I was young and didn't know better. It won't happen again. I hope you'll be magnanimous and not hold it against." Before I could finish, her expression darkened, her hand shot out, gripping my wrist and yanking me forward until I stumbled into her arms. "Su Ran," she hissed, "this is what you wanted to say to me." She glared down at me, displeasure written across her face. I blinked at her with utmost sincerity. "Yes. Before, I didn't know you liked Suyu. If you made it clear, I wouldn't have shamelessly clung to you." Lin Yu closed her eyes. Her breathing was slightly uneven. "From start to finish, I've only ever seen Suyu as a younger brother. I've never had those kinds of feelings for him." Her eyes snapped open again, and she leaned closer, her voice faltered. "Do you know? I've always." I pulled my hand free, subtly putting distance between us. "I don't want to know. I said seriously, because none of it matters anymore. Lin Yu fell silent. She only gave me one last inscrutable look before finally leaving. In the end, Lin Yu left the Su family. Choice in letting go. After that, I threw myself entirely into my career. Through our efforts, the studio grew larger and larger. Li Yong and I, holding on to our dreams, hoped that one day we could openly open our shop in a mall, letting more people see our designs. Su Yao occasionally dropped by to model for us for free. With her sweet looks and graceful figure, any design she wore would sell out within minutes of being posted. Not only that, she gained a devoted fan base, becoming a shining emblem for our studio. During this time, Lin Yu had sought me out a few times. One time, after I got off work, she was standing downstairs from the office building Li Yong and I rented, holding a bouquet of sunflowers and waiting for me. I saw her from a distance, dressed in a crisp white suit, standing tall and straight. For a moment, I almost doubted if I had recognized the wrong person. It wasn't until she offered the bouquet to me with an unusual expression and said softly, "Long time no see." In just a few short months, the sense of youthful naivety about her had been replaced by a more composed and reserved temperament. My gaze swept over the sunflowers in her arms. Lin Yu smiled, somewhat awkwardly. "I arranged them myself. They might be a bit ugly, please don't mind." Hearing her familiar voice, I couldn't help but drift off for a moment, involuntarily recalling the year I turned in my Kamingafage banquet. Lin Yu had also given me a bouquet of sunflowers, just like this one, though of course, only after my persistent pleading. Back then, faced with so many exquisite and luxurious gifts, I had carefully cradled only that bouquet of sunflowers, treasuring it. Later, simply because Su Yu said, "I want some too," Lin Yu pulled several stems from the bouquet and gave them to him. When I found out and confronted her angrily, she merely glanced up indifferently from the pile of study materials on her desk and said, "I didn't give him all of them. It was just a few stems. You don't have to be so petty, do you?" In the end, I ran back to my room, eyes red, and in a fit of pique, smashed the picture frame I had intended to use for pressing the flowers. In my diary, I wrote stroke by deliberate stroke. Next year, I will not like Lin Yu anymore. The bitterness of that pain is still fresh in my memory. But now, I am no longer that lovesick boy, nor do I long for that out-of-season bouquet of sunflowers. So I said calmly, "I don't like sunflowers anymore, because Su Yao gives me a bouquet of baby's breath every day now." Lin Yu's indifferent eyes suddenly widened. She opened her mouth several times but couldn't utter a word, as if struck by my statement. Her heart filled with complex emotions. The second time was on my birthday. After Su Yao confessed her feelings to me in public, Lin Yu suddenly burst out from the crowd. "Su Ran, I admit that in the past, the thorns born from my own insecurities hurt you considerably." She looked up, her eyes slightly red and filled with remorse. "Back then, I was proud and arrogant, thinking everything you took upon yourself to do for me was just to flaunt your superiority as the young master of the Su family. But later, I realized your affection for me was purely about wanting me to become better." It was rare to see such an almost pleadingly humble expression on Lin Yu's face. "Can you not fall for someone else? Give me one more chance, please." Towards the end, her voice grew quieter, somewhat hoarse, with a faint hint of a sob. She reached out to take my hand, but I subtly moved it away. Lin Yu's hand froze in midair, then clenched into a fist before she withdrew it. She took a deep breath, glanced towards Su Yao at the side and asked softly, "You have your answer, don't you?" I turned my head slightly to look at Su Yao, who stood nearby holding a large bouquet. She was looking at me nervously, her gaze fixed on me expectantly, like a cat waiting for its owner. Her eyes filled with both anxiety and anticipation. The surrounding noise seemed to fade away at that moment, leaving only the sound of my own pounding heart. I looked at Lin Yu. Those once fervent emotions seemed to echo faintly in my heart, but now there was only calm. The past hurts she had inflicted surfaced one by one in my mind. The old heartache and resentment had now dissolved into nothing more than a soft sigh. I took a deep breath and began slowly. "Lin Yu, I don't want to dwell on the past anymore, but those hurts have left their mark on my heart." I paused, looking at her with firm eyes. When I was with Su Yao, I felt cared for, needed. She understood my every glance, every subtle emotion. Lin Yu's body trembled slightly. She bit her lower lip, fighting back tears. Su Ran, I know I was wrong. I can change. I was just slow to realize, slow to discover my feelings for you. I shook my head, cutting her off. Lin Yu, feelings aren't something you can just reclaim whenever you decide you want to cherish them. I admit, I used to fantasize countless times that you would turn back and look at me, but now, everything is different. Su Yao walked over, gently handed me the flowers, and then linked her arm through mine. Her hand tightened slightly, as if giving me strength, or perhaps declaring something. She looked at Lin Yu, her eyes holding no hostility, only frankness. Lin Yu, Su Ran and I are together because we love each other. I will take good care of him. The light completely faded from Lin Yu's eyes. She staggered back a step, her face etched with loss and despair. I understand. Her voice trembled slightly. I wish you happiness, Su Ran. But a hint of madness flickered in her eyes. With that, she turned, her steps heavy, and left. Watching her retreating figure, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. Once, she was my whole world, the direction of all my efforts. But now we were heading down different paths. Su Yao squeezed my hand tightly, her touch warm and soft. Su Ran, no matter what happens in the future, I will always be by your side. I gripped Su Yao's hand back and turned to look at her. Tears glistened in her eyes, yet she wore a smile. Thank you, Su Yao. You showed me how wonderful it is to be loved. I gently pulled her into my embrace. Applause sounded around us, filled with blessings, but in that moment, my world contained only her. On this night, filled with love and regret, I finally let go of the past and embraced the future that belonged to me, and Lin Yu would become an unforgettable part of my memories, a reminder that cherishing the person before me is what matters most. Her affection. The novel ended, and Lin Yu naturally awakened, realizing just how disgusting Su Yu truly was. Having been rejected by me, Lin Yu immediately turned her hatred towards my younger brother, Su Yu. Aboard a luxury cruise ship. Su Yu, it's all because of you that he rejected me. Lin Yu, eyes red, stared at Su Yu and spat out the words, it's all your fault. I hate you. Men, take Su Yu and throw him into the sea to feed the fish. Sister, spare me. Why are you doing this to me? Su Yu pleaded, putting on a weak and fragile act. Moo. Slap. Lin Yu struck him across the face. You scum. I won't waste any more words on you. You lot. What are you waiting for? Right? Beat him up first, then throw him into the sea. Otherwise, it won't appease the hatred in my heart. Two bodyguards in black suits and sunglasses immediately stepped forward. Yes. Whack. Crack. Slap. Bruised and battered, Su Yu was thrown into the sea to feed the fish. Watching Su Yu sink beneath the waves, Lin Yu still couldn't find any happiness. Su Ran, I can never repay your kindness. Since you won't accept me, then I'll imprison you, force you to accept me, and even bear your child. Then our little family of 3 can thoroughly discuss Su Yao. Ha 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 ha, serves her right for stealing my man. Lin Yu stood on the deck, her hands clenched so tightly her knuckles turned white. The wind howled around her. Su Ran, I will stop at nothing to get you. A crazed look flashed across her face. And Su Yao, when the time comes, I'll call you while I'm doing it with Su Ran. Really makes Su Yao sick. Hey, go buy a villa with a basement. You few, go grab Su Ran for me. A few days later, in a basement, a man, his limbs bound to a bed, struggled. Lin Yu, what's the meaning of this? Tie me to a bed? What do you mean? Is this how you repay me who cured your mother's illness? Su Ran demanded angrily. It means nothing special. This is the meaning. After speaking, Lin Yu walked over, holding a mobile phone with an active call. The name clearly displayed was Su Yao. Lin Yu, what have you done to Su Ran? Let him go immediately, or the Su family won't be finished with you. Lin Yu replied, ha 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 ha.